November 23, 1982. 11 months after seizing power from the Liman administration, disgruntled soldiers of the Ghana Armed Forces, mostly those who played a pivotal role in the overthrow of the Third Republic, revolted against the Provisional National Defense Council, PNDC, led by Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. As a result, a number of rebels were disarmed, arrested, and placed in various prisons across the capital, Accra, and in Sawam in the eastern region. Others escaped and fled into neighboring countries such as Togo and Ivory Coast. On November 19, 1983, this group of former servicemen who escaped arrest in the wake of the November 23rd attempt infiltrated into Ghana with heavy arms and ammunition and proceeded to attack the Ashford Prison, Jamesford Prison, Field Engineers Guard Room, Naval Base Guard Room, BNI cells, and in Sawam medium security prisons to release their collaborators in previous attempts. After the release, they fought their way into the National Broadcasting Studios and announced the toppling of Jerry Rawlings and his PNDC government. Somewhere in 1982, there was an alleged plot involving Sergeant Alolga Akatapori, Carlos Halidu Jua, Matthew Adabuga, Seydou Musa, and many more, including a civilian named Kwame Pienim, to assassinate Jerry Rawlings. The plan was carried out with the help of an Air Force corporal named Boachi. This same Air Force corporal gave out their plans, leading to the arrest of Matthew Adabuga. His close associates protested against his arrest. It took the effort of one Captain Baba Awunu and Army Commander Arnold Kwenu, one Major Yache, to disarm the rebels. After disarming them, they were unexpectedly placed in different prisons within the capital Accra. The prisons were the Ashford prisons, Jamesford prisons, Field Engineers Guard Room, Naval Base Guard Room, and in Sawam in the eastern region of Ghana. After spending approximately 8 months in jail, word got to the prisoners that the PNDC government was planning to execute all the 23rd November 1982 mutineers. As a result, an elaborate plan was carried out to break jail. It all started on a Sunday, the 19th of June 1983 at the Ashford prisons. Muslim prisoners were fasting while Christian prisoners were having their church service. Their accomplices, most of whom had entered Ghana from Togo, arrived at the Ashford prisons and made their presence known through some of the prison officers. The initial plan was to follow the chaplain of the prison after his church service. The prison was designed in such a way that, after stepping out of the prison cell, you will make your way into an opening and then through a second gate into a courtyard and finally through the prison entrance before getting your freedom. The plan was to follow the chaplain through the first gate after stepping out of their prison cells. The next was to capture the prison guard and step out through the second gate. This plan failed due to suspicions by the prison guards. Alternatively, they realized that they could climb the prison walls into the sea at Jamestown. The group, led by one Sergeant Malik, then made their way to the roadside and rushed to the Jamesford prison, where they released Lance Corporal Jua and co. A number of prisoners who were unwilling to jailbreak were either shot by the infiltrators or forced at gunpoint to join the attack. The objective at this stage was to free as much prisoners as possible before deciding to do something about Jerry Rawlings and his PNDC government. The infiltrators, now joined by the armed escapees, proceeded to attack the field engineers guard room, naval base guard room, BNI cells, and in some prisons to release their other colleagues. The prisoners released were made of former members of the military intelligence units, service personnel standing trial for the November 23rd coup attempt, service personnel under investigation for their involvement in the February 27th attempt, and others who were under investigations for various offenses. Some of the rebels made their way to the airport to seize armored vehicles, while others such as Carlos Halidu Jua and Matthew Adabuga rushed to the broadcasting house to announce the overthrow and takeover from Jerry John Rawlings and his PNDC government. According to Richard Corti, a newsreader and head of programs and operations at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, everything seemed normal until approximately 10:05 in the morning, when he heard something that sounded like lightning and thunder from his air-conditioned office. But when he came into the opening, he smelled smoke. When he checked from the extended national studios, some staff were sitting on the floor. It was at this stage he sighted some men in tracksuit, white shorts, with one or two in cloth. They forced the lady announcer to show them the way to the newsroom, where they subsequently made their announcement. This is Carlos Halidu Jua, Operational Commissioner for the Revolutionary Fighters. Revolutionary Fighters have taken over from the PNDC. The PNDC is being removed because Flight Lieutenant Rawlings and his team had been found to be inefficient. While he preached virtue, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings practiced vice. All appointments by the PNDC should stay in office. All PDCs, WDCs, and progressive forces should remain vigilant. The PNDC has about 1,000 people in prison. Captain Chikata is a murderer. Students should assist soldiers to help arrest the following: Captain Kojo Chikata, Captain Kwashiga, Captain Pattington, Naval Lieutenant Asasi Jima, Lieutenant Kusi, Lieutenant Richter Ado, Brigadier Akwenu, and the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kublenu. The universities have been reopened. A full report of the Special Investigation Board would be published. The budget will be reviewed where necessary, and action will be taken to refund the 50 cedis note. The Ghana Bar Association and the Christian Council should remain calm. Lieutenant Colonel Eko Dennis, like most officers, is on our side. It is alleged that Carlos Halidu Jua came bare-chested into the studio. He was accompanied by Corporal Asari and Lieutenant Colonel Eko Dennis, who wore cloth. As stated by Warrant Officer Eje Bwedi, the dissidents took Gate 1 and 3. The only alternative was Gate 2, which they used. The enemy fired at his men and shouted to them to surrender. He also begged them to surrender. They exchanged fire for approximately 2.5 hours, during which Captain Courage Kwashiga made an entry, forcing the enemy forces to run away through Gate 3, where they scattered into small hands and were mostly on the run or in hiding. Captain Courage Kwashiga demonstrated perhaps not only his spirit of courage and adventurism, but also a sense of foresight, loyalty, and leadership, when with the force of authority aired something which roughly read like this: At about morning, a small group of dissidents managed their way into our national studio and made false announcements to disrupt the activities of the PNDC. I, Captain Courage Kwashiga, on behalf of the PNDC, want to assure the nation that the situation is under control and that those dissidents should report themselves to the nearest police station, or anyone seen in tracksuits entering the military installation should be fired on sight. A final stamp was put on Captain Kwashiga's statement by both the force commander, Brigadier Arnold Kwenu, and the chairman of the PNDC, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. In his speech, first telecast live on TV at about 5:55 p.m. and later broadcast on radio, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings announced that we shall stand firmly by the objectives which we proclaimed for the revolution and the 1st December 1981. Loyal forces had once again defeated yet another attempt by our enemies to create panic, confusion, and unnecessary fighting in our country. Some of the dissidents had been arrested and others killed. Until further notice, all the borders will remain closed. The situation is under firm control and a full statement will be made later. I apologize for the inconvenience that will be created by the new curfew hours of 6 p.m. to 5 a.m., which will not be long.